It means, or it would mean in the short term, most likely, taking a step back. And it raises the question, too, of what kind of value you get because it's only 1 year.
Here we go, right to biz, the inside scoop. It's Ken Rosenthal at the Winter Meetings. It's powered by MLB Rivals. So, Ken, let's start with the Astros. Dana Brown did say at one point that Kyle Tucker was going to be an Astro for life, and he did not say that yesterday. What are your thoughts on his and Framber Valdez's trade chances?
It's a really interesting situation, and it's difficult to predict how it's going to go because it's difficult to predict what owner Jim Crane might want here. Now, if he wants to keep Tucker, he's going to have to pay him. And the Astros have not paid free agents big money under Crane's ownership. Remember, Springer left, Correa left, Bregman likely to leave. He's not staying, I don't believe, for what they're offering. They're going to have to come significantly up to keep Alex Bregman. So, given that history, given that Kyle Tucker has 1 year remaining before he is a free agent and hits the open market, if I were the Astros, I would strongly consider trading him. I would strongly consider trading Valdez. Now, it means, or it would mean in the short term, most likely, taking a step back. And it raises the question, too, of what kind of value you get because it's only 1 year. Look at the Yankees, for example. Tucker, of course, would appeal to them. He is a perfect replacement for Soto. He might not be the offensive player Soto is, but he's a better base runner, capable of stealing 30 bases, a much better defender, Gold Glove winner. But it's the same situation as it was with Soto. You're trading significant pieces for 1 year of Kyle Tucker, and then he might bolt on you. So it's a difficult move for them, and yet it will be something that I'm sure they discussed. I'm sure other teams discussed because Kyle Tucker is one of the most underrated players in the game and one of the best players in the game.
Ken, did you get a discount for the smallest bed possible behind you? Because that bed looks like it's about this big. Just saying.
AJ, I'm not going to reveal the size of the bed. It's not as small as you think. Keep going.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm just saying it looks a little small. But if you're the Astros, Kyle Tucker and Framber, why not just trade them both? If you're going to trade one, why not trade them both? And then if you're going to do one, you got to do them both. The way I'm looking at this, because if you trade Kyle Tucker, the fans are going to be like, "Oh, that means we're going to keep Framber," and then Framber walks at the end of the year, and you have nothing for either one. So for me, if I'm looking at this from the outside in, you trade them both, get as many pieces back. You might have to take a step back for 1 year, but then if you're Dana Brown, you say, "All right, 1 year we took a step back. We got significant prospects for these two guys, and now boom, we're ready to go again." Gives you a chance to reset the luxury tax. Gives Jim Crane a chance to take a deep breath, and then here we go again. We're going to try to be the Astros.
I agree, AJ, and I am always for teams being proactive in these kinds of situations. The only issue here is what they would get in return. And remember, it's 1 year of both guys. They have high arbitration numbers. That generally doesn't give you a monster return in a trade. It's kind of the way it is. At the same time, Tucker in particular, as I just said, is one of the best players in the game. Framber, one of the better left-handers for sure. So it is something that, in my view, they should look at. Trade Presley as well. They've talked about that, Ryan Presley. And you're right, kind of retool on the fly. I've been talking about this, you guys know this, with Toronto, and asking why aren't they doing this with Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette? And in the case of Toronto, it seems that they're going to make a push for Vlad Guerrero. Well, the price just went up with Soto, his deal. And in the case of Houston, I don't know that they're going to make the push necessary for Tucker and certainly Valdez. Valdez could be a $200 million pitcher. Tucker could be a $400, $500 million player in the current market conditions. So that is not an area Jim Crane has gone to. And if you're not going to go there, and if your team this season is not built to win the World Series, and they may feel it is, well, then you maybe start to kind of spin the wheels a little bit and try to do some things.
So with another lefty on the market, the trade market, with a little bit more time and a lot more strikeouts, Garrett Crochet, does this news bump his value up even more because it's like, oh, well, I could have Framber Valdez, or does it dilute it a little bit?
They're different guys, Eric. And when I say that, not just different pitchers, of course, but also contractually much different positions. Framber, like I said, entering his final year before free agency. Crochet, 2 more years, and the price in salary is much lower. He's projected to make under $3 million in arbitration this year. So from that perspective alone, the extra year, the lower salary, Crochet is the more valuable trade piece. So it seems to me that they're going to do well, the White Sox are, for Crochet. They should do well for him. And I don't know when that deal is going to happen. Reported last night that the Mets and Yankees have been among the most aggressive from what I've heard. So we'll see where that goes. But Crochet is kind of a different profile than Framber Valdez.
Is there a most aggressive mindset when you look at the Mets and Yankees? Yes, they want him bad. The Phillies had, possibly something in the works at the trade deadline, didn't want to put Andrew Painter in. Is there more value in the aggressiveness, or is there more value in the Red Sox having, 4 of the top 100 prospects that possibly they could dip into?
That's a good question, Eric. And when I wrote that story last night with Will Salmon of The Athletic, we were careful to say, as of Monday, the Mets and Yankees were the most aggressive. If the Red Sox want to get involved here, yes, they have perhaps the best pieces, and they're a team that can really do some things. Hold on a second, guys.
Yep. This is
Just
good
getting
stuff.
rid of that. And they can obviously get in the mix and trade for the players that they want. But if you're the Red Sox also, maybe you spend in free agency and address the starting pitching need that way. Now, to me, they should still make a trade, whether it's for Crochet or someone else, because not all of these prospects are going to play for the 2025 or even 2026 Red Sox. There's too many of them. There are not enough at-bats to go around. So some of their young players should be in play, in my opinion, but I don't know exactly what they're thinking. My understanding, and it's been reported in Boston as well, is that they have not been particularly aggressive on Crochet, or at least not as aggressive as some others. That could change, but it seems they're focused on other things.
So, Ken, the other team I'm curious about in that article, and actually really it spills into the other article that you put together with Will Salmon on your notes, is the Baltimore Orioles. This might be the softest thing I've read the entire offseason from the GM, president of baseball operations world. Owners obviously not spending, we can make fun of all day. But are they really that scared of losing one of their precious draft picks that it would prevent them from bringing on a starter? And if so, isn't Garrett Crochet the perfect guy to trade for? But oh wait, are they prospect and draft pick hugging too much?
Good question. Really good question, Scott. And Mike Elias, their GM, came out yesterday and said, we're not reluctant to sign anybody, any qualifying offer guy or non-qualifying offer guy, but there are different prices that you will consider for these kinds of things. My understanding is they are reluctant to sign a player who has a qualifying offer because for Santander and Corbin Burns, they're going to get 2 picks back, and those picks are likely to be in the 30s, so they'll have 3 picks in the top 40. That's really good. No question about it, and I can see why the Orioles want that. That's a very desirable position to be in. At the same time, they've got to say yes to somebody, and I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's a non-qualifying offer guy like Evaldi or Jack Flaherty, who they had before. Maybe it's a trade. I don't know where they're going, but I made the point in that column that the window is not open forever. Gunnar Henderson has 4 more years of control. That's a long time. I get it. But he's a Scott Boras client, not likely to sign an extension. You might get Rushman for an extension, but Rushman didn't have the greatest second half last year anyway. So in my view, the time is now for them. They've got new ownership. They should be ready to go. Obviously, it's difficult for them to spend with Boston and New York and Toronto. We all understand that. But I am curious to see what they do in the starting pitching market. They've made 2 moves so far. They're pretty happy with those moves. Tyler O'Neill to be the replacement for Santander. Good idea if Tyler O'Neill can stay healthy. And Gary Sanchez to be the backup catcher. Maybe that's a slight upgrade over James McCann. Okay, that's fine, but you got to get the pitching. They've got Eflin, they've got Grayson Rodriguez, they've got Dean Kramer. They need more.
All right, Ken, I have 2 questions for you, and they're pretty simple. Who's more likely to get traded first, Crochet, Luzardo, or a Ranger Suarez / Alec Boehm from the Phillies?
I would say Crochet because I'm not sure whether Luzardo will even be traded. And as for Bohm and Suarez, I don't know that that will develop as quickly as Crochet should. The Crochet market is active right now. Bohm, it seems that they've struggled to find a taker for him. And Suarez, I'm not sure exactly where they are with him. So my guess would be Crochet. It's only a guess, AJ, as the GMs often say, all it takes is one phone call. And I could be proven wrong.
We do that a lot on this show, so thank you, Ken. All right, the second question is, who's going to sign first and where?
If you do that a lot on
Corbin
this show, why am I on?
I ask that question all the time also. I don't know. I don't run the show, Ken. I just ask the questions, okay?
Go ahead, AJ.
Who's going to sign first? Corbin Burns, who we haven't heard a lot about, or Max Fried? And as an added bonus, maybe you can be proven right. Where?
Wait, what was the second part of that?
Where?
Okay. Well, I'm not going to be right because I'm always wrong according to you, so why bother guessing? I was
hoping you would know as the insider.
I would think both those guys come off the board maybe even this week, and it would not surprise me at all. As for where, that's really difficult to say. Burns, does he want to go back to San Francisco where he went to college in the Bay Area? Will they pay him? That's a good question. We know the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and to an extent the Orioles are on Burns. And those teams, in my view, are going to end up with Fried and Burns if the Giants don't. I don't know who else might be in the mix. Maybe Texas, but Texas has financial questions right now. Their payroll is not exactly clear on what it's going to be. So that's not really an answer, but I'm not going to give you an answer when I don't know the answer, AJ, because that would be kind of stupid, wouldn't it?
That would be. That would be. I appreciate when you go back at AJ. I do appreciate that. But I need to know, Devin Williams, is there anybody that is a possible trade that could be pursued by more? I feel like teams are capped by Garrett Crochet because of how many prospects and how much value. Devin Williams is an elite closer that's most likely on a trade block. Is there any push from certain teams for him?
He is on the trade block. One more year of control. We reported last night upwards of 10 teams interested in him. And really, if you're any team, you could afford Devin Williams. Even a mid-market team can afford him. Even a small market team could afford him. Because I think next year he projects at around $8 million, $9 million. So that's a guy who I expect will get moved. The Brewers are under some payroll restrictions, from my understanding. And where he goes, I don't know, but I would not really be surprised by any outcome there.
Hey, Ken, do you think there's anyone smiling more than Vladdy Jr. after the Juan Soto signing? I mean, we listened to Fair Territory yesterday, but just quick follow-up to finish with the Soto sweepstakes. I wanted to go to the Blue Jays. I mean, not only should Vladdy be happy because he's going to be at a similar age next offseason, he's an elite bat, and he's not known for his glove. Neither is Soto, right? Not known for his speed. So that, plus the fact that he saw his own team offer a huge chunk of cash to Juan Soto.
Vladdy and Tucker both should be quite happy, right? Because while some teams will paint Soto as an aberration and, it was a perfect storm and all that, the bottom line is that number is out there now. 765. And if you're Vladimir Guerrero or if you're Kyle Tucker, you're thinking, okay, I don't need 765. I'm not worth 765 necessarily. I'm not a generational player, but I'm a pretty good player, a really good player. And I'm going to hit free agency, and I'm going to do really well. Now, with the Blue Jays, if they go through all these machinations with different players, different free agents, and ultimately don't come up with what they want, even if they do, I expect they're going to make a run at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But if I'm Vlad Jr., why aren't I testing the market? Why wouldn't I do that? Have 30 teams bid. The Blue Jays can still bid then. All good. And he is a first baseman, and first basemen generally don't do as well as players at other positions, regardless of whether Juan Soto is a good defensive outfielder or an elite defensive outfielder. He's an outfielder. And first base has been kind of a depressed market now for quite some time. It was a better market when Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols and Joey Votto in the early 2010s were getting their monster deals. Lately, no. So that will hold him back a little bit. But if he puts together another good year, and remember, he had a great year last year, then 2 average years for him the years before, then I expect he will be in serious demand. And yes, we'll get a great deal.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, you're a season away. I guess you go to free agency unless they go absolutely nuts. Yep, that makes sense. Ken, thank you. Appreciate it.
Ken, enjoy your bed for ants. We made a school for ants.
Keep it up, AJ. You're so funny.
Thank you, Ken. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it. Enjoy the winter meetings. Fair Territory, Ken Rosenthal and Alana Rizzo for the next episode on Thursday. That show live. That will be the end of the winter meetings. You got the Rule 5 draft on Thursday, and that really caps off the winter meetings. We will swing right back after we tell you about MLB Rivals. You can download the game for free. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. This is the perfect time. It's the winter time. You're lonely because you miss baseball. So this is a way to play baseball. It's really great graphics, and it is featuring special cards, and you can really get into the mini games, the whole deal. But if you don't believe me, ask Xander and Freddie.
In the heart of every baseball season, there exists a rivalry that transcends the game itself. We gather for the love of the game, we watch as history is made, and we play for our city. Download MLB Rivals 24.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.